Welcome to Break the Silence. On this show, we're planning to hear more of the stories of men.
Yeah.
Men that are going about their journeys of manhood, that are experiencing life, that have got something to tell. Whether it helps with the people at home, whether it's something that inspires some, whether it gets people thinking, that's what we want. We want sharing to be something that is done by lots of different people, people to be encouraged to be intentionally vulnerable and know that there's super power in it. So I just want to thank you, Vlad, for coming on and agreeing to share. We're very, very excited. And yeah, it'd be great for you to introduce yourself so people know who you are before we get cracking.
Thank you so much, Paul. I wanna voice and champion you and everything that you're doing here with Break the Silence. First of all, just thank you for the opportunity to come on, to be able to share a message that hopefully will inspire people, that will resonate with some people, and just kind of shed a light on exactly what you said, which is that men need a space to be vulnerable. They need a voice, a platform to be able to share their experiences, their thoughts, and just have other men to lean on when you go through life. It's so important when you do have that sense of community with guys, because you find brotherhood in that. You find people that you can also live life with and share relatable experiences with, and people that can be there with you and for you, just as you can be there for other guys as well. So thank you for the opportunity, for the platform. So who am I? I'm Vlad. I'm a Christian content creator. I use my platform to basically just spread a bit of hope and joy and positivity, and that came about after I spent a lot of time in the world and had this radical encounter where I nearly lost my life, actually, and I found my faith in God, and that changed my life, changed my journey, changed my my outlook on life, and just also changed me as a man as well. So
Wow, that's incredible.
yeah,
So that's your testimony.
that's a bit of my testimony.
Yeah. Do you tell us a little bit more about what it was like before?
Yeah.
The kind of that God supported your transformation,
Yeah.
and then a little bit about what changed.
Yeah, of course, man. So I guess when I grew up, I always did have faith in something bigger, something higher, in God, if you will. I just never had that relationship. And what for me was important, what I was desiring, what I was chasing after. And I guess the reason for it was because that's what we're taught to. I was chasing lifestyle. I was chasing women and money and trying to be somebody of status, and I thought that's where my personality was. I thought that's where my identity was. And to be fair, I was also quite successful at it. I went out and suddenly I found myself in the midst of parties, rubbing shoulders with celebrities, suddenly have a little bit of money in my bank account, going out and just going crazy with my life, not really taking myself seriously, but just getting myself drunk every weekend, high every weekend, to the point where on the surface you would look at it and you'd be like, this man is really living life, he's really enjoying, he's looking like he's successful, doing well. But on the inside, I just knew that something was missing, and I knew that that there was more to life than that. And so yeah, it kind of came to a point where going out to all the clubs and things like that all the time, consistently going out to parties and staying out mega late, started taking loads of substances and things like that. And it came to a point where I overdosed and I should have lost my life. I should be dead, but I didn't. God saved me from that. At the same time, there were loads of things happening. Like I was also going through a heartbreak, like a woman that broke my heart, and I just kind of just lost myself. And in that moment, what happened was I just prayed. I said, God, like, if you love me, if you're there for me, just reveal that to me, show that to me. And from that moment onwards, everything changed. My community around me changed, the people around me changed. My life just got better, my health got better. I started focusing on running and gymming. I found people that could actually support me just as a person, people that actually care about you. My business grew, my work grew, like in just tremendous, unexpected ways that you could never even ask for. I was just finding myself in levels of increase and promotion. Nothing that I had done, just simply like blessings from God. It was really something to witness. And yeah, I think most of all, just my mindset changed. My mindset on life. I started to find faith in God, and I found power in not chasing things of the world, but simply just seeking God first. And when you do that, he adds everything else onto you. You know, the things that are good to have. It's good to have and to steward well money and finances and things like that, and enjoy yourself with life. But just when you seek God first, he'll add all that onto you. That's what I found in my experience.
That's amazing, Vlad, man, and I'm so happy for you. Firstly, you know, knowing you how I know you, I'm so glad that you are still here. You know, you are such an advocate. You're very modest in what you're saying about the work that you do, but the content that you're putting out there, the lives that you're trying to help to jolt and get them to think differently, that is incredible. And the fact that you could have been gone.
Yeah.
It, like when you were saying that, I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that God, a power said no, it wasn't your time. What I wanted to ask though was like, there's people probably listening thinking, oh well, his journey, he's lucky he had God. You know, God is what, you know, transformed his kind of journey of manhood, that got him really working the way he wants to work. And I just wanted to kind of like delve a little bit into like, what do you think changed about, you know, your mindset? Because you mentioned your mindset changing. It wasn't just like lots of outside external power from God that just you didn't need to do anything. It was, you must have had to do some stuff. And I want to know from your point of view, what was really crucial in that part of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I think I found power in surrender and in servanthood, rather than trying to put the focus on me and trying to chase these worldly things so that I could look good and I could look like I had status and image and power. It was just surrendering to God and actually finding that relationship, you know, rather than just thinking God was a background character for me that I would pray once in a while. If I ever needed something big, then I would just pray for it. But like, it was actually something that seeking him daily and finding him daily in my everyday situations, in my everyday relationships, in my work, and in the way that I steward my finances and my life and everything like that. So it was a really drastic mindset change, because it was I had to remove certain habits and things that I was used to. Like, I was used to this lifestyle that I had built up, and now suddenly I was giving my life to God. And that means, like, that comes with obedience, that comes with surrendering to him and his will for my life, rather than what I want. It's not about what I want anymore. It's about God. God, you know what's best for me. Reveal that to me, and let me be a man that walks into obedience, into what you want for me. And so that was a big change. And yeah, just like I said, once I started doing that, he started adding everything else around me. And I guess with the mindset thing, it can be a roller coaster. Like, it's like you found something new. It's a new way to look at life. It's like your eyes have been opened, and you just kind of want to tell people about it. Really, that's what I found my experience. That's why I started my platform online. I changed that as well, just to be focused on primarily sharing the gospel.
Yeah, and it's epic. I think, you know, you know, you've been sharing so much, and I appreciate it so much. And you know, thank you for being honest and open and sharing so powerfully. But I want to share as well, because I think there'll be lots of people at home watching this that will be like, well, I'm actually doing some stuff right now. I'm sorting out my discipline. You know, my health. I'm improving my well-being, my health, and I'm working on the finance. But they'll be a bit lost in the part of their life where they might be seeking that kind of spiritual fullness.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people, you know, where I've kind of like left that to last almost, because some of the others, it's a little bit clearer how to do it. You know, it's clearer how to eat better. You know, there's so much out there for you to see. There's more steps, but like that spiritual fullness is something so inspiring for me to hear, because it's something I know that I want as part of my journey. I want to be able to get through this and have a really close relationship with God. I guess, what would you say to people watching that are like me, that are like, they want that, but they're kind of apprehensive about, you know, the journey, how difficult it might be, how clear and obvious the steps might be. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think the first point, which is kind of the basic one, in your own private time, in your own room, in your own quiet space, is pray that first prayer, like, God, reveal yourself to me, Lord. Like, I'm here, I have a heart that's open and willing to know you. Like, I want to know you and I want to experience you in my day-to-day. So just show me how to do that, and enter my life and show yourself to me in a way that is undeniable to me. That's basically the first thing. I think that's a great way to kind of open up that door, that conversation. Like, God, you can have a conversation with God like he's your guy, like you can just have, doesn't need to be formal, nothing like that. You just talk the way that you would talk in your head to yourself. You just share ideas, you share thoughts and opinions, share that with God, and that's it. There's no wrong thoughts or wrong opinions. They're yours, and you just give them to God and let him speak back to you. The second thing that I would say is get yourself to a good church. I think that's important. And I know it's probably easy to think that the people who you might see at church aren't like you, but it's so wrong. Like, when I went to church, there's the thing that you find, I think even now, it just seems to be this kind of revival. Everyone there is young. Everyone is like a brother or a sister. Everyone is cool. Everyone is vibing. Everyone's on their own journey, and everyone comes with a story, with a testimony as well. They've been through something in life. They're not there because they're just trying to be perfect. Like, they're there because they've been through something, and they've found faith as their foundation, and they can also kind of share their stories as well. So you see a lot of people like that, and there is a crowd, there is a community of people that are cool and vibing, and young, just like me and you. And the church is a great place to start. And I think the third thing, probably quite important, is start spending time in scripture. I think that can be scary because it's a big book. That Bible is scary, complicated. But just starting to read slowly scripture, and simply just seeing how it can speak back to you. They say that the Bible is not just a book, but it's like a living word. It speaks back to you. You don't read it, it reads you. And I think that's important. I think one thing I've learned in life is you can't make big moves in life without the power of God. So
Wow. It's that's speaking to me. I'm sure there's many people listening that it's speaking to as well. Again, I really appreciate not only your sharing, but obviously really, really clear advice as well. And I hope we can really reiterate that for those watching. I want to ask you a little bit about kind of now, and just to give some background to this question, really, is Break the Silence, as an organization, we have our own pillars. Right, there's no one way to be a man, there's no one journey of manhood, but to try and help people scaffold their own journey, we've come up with these pillars. And the pillars themselves, the first is strength. As a man, right, one of the first things you learn is that you have this strength, physical strength, right? And maybe you're at school, 6 or 7, and you get into a scuffle, or you push a girl over and you realize, gosh, I've got strength. Right? And it starts this journey of understanding that strength and understanding what that means and what it brings. And so, and that actually, it's a real differentiator between us and our sisters. The next is responsibility. And responsibility, as you know, we all have responsibility, man or woman. But with men, there's an idea that actually we get a fulfillment from the responsibility that we hold, and those that we hold responsibility over or with, that kind of natural protector. There's a responsibility that comes with that, even before you have anybody to cater for, even preparing for it, right? So responsibility is really key. Discipline. I'm a smoker, and I'm trying to stop smoking. Everybody has something that they must develop discipline for. This is not just about waking up at 6 a.m. and putting your face in ice. This is about understanding yourself, reflecting, understanding what your vices are, and developing the discipline that is required to get through that. Everybody's will be different, but discipline is crucial. The next would be mastery, and the idea that, Robert Greene would hopefully agree, the idea that every person, every man should have a craft, have a thing that drives them, that they're connected to, that their journey is intertwined with, right? That all the times they are trying to get closer to this expert level of mastery of this thing that they love and are passionate about. And what does that do for the development of a person, development of a man? And then the last is community. And it's kind of where I want to talk to you about now, which is about not everyone gets it. That as part of their journey, there's a moment where you've got to say, well, I'm here, I've got this, I know it. What next? How do I then reflect back to the community and try and influence change? And so I wanted to firstly say commend you for you clearly doing that and putting that front and center to the mission you have. But I wanted to hear a little bit about why.
Okay.
Why, how, where to, what is the vision, and what does great look like? Tell us a little bit more.
So let's go through those again. So there was strength. Is that number 1 or 2?
Strength, responsibility, discipline, mastery, community.
I think this is so powerful, man. And I think these points, I think it's so important as a man to have pillars in life that once you start aligning those pillars well, you know, you can start to really say that, yeah, you've got your life together, and you can start to find some sense of joy and happiness when things are starting to look aligned, and those are really, really good ones. And strength is so powerful, man. I think you're right. Physically, we are built naturally in a way that our bodies are capable of being stronger, right? And there is so much goodness to utilizing that as well. You know, when you find yourself in the gym just doing some sets or going for a run, even like mentally it's good just to clear your head. Like, it's good for your head, and when you start to see improvements in the mirror and things like that, you feel like you know, you feel more masculine, you feel like a man, you feel more capable. Same with responsibility as well. You know, you spoke about how even when you're not in a place where you need to cater for other people, but you still have that responsibility because you're planning ahead, right? You're setting up your environment around you. That's so powerful, right? And you when you have that, when you are intentional about that, you create spaces and cultivate spaces where you can invite people in, just like you've done here for me today. You know, you've created a space where as a man people can be vulnerable and share their feelings, and now you can invite people in to share their journey. So the same way you commend me, I commend you as well, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
But I'll shoot the community because that's the one that you asked about specifically. And you know, like, it's such a dangerous place to be in isolation. I think particularly as a man, like there is pressure on us as guys. There is this expectation that we have to be all the time strong, all the time put together. And as great as that idea is, and as much as we all aim and strive to be that, there are days when we're going to be in the valleys. There are days when we're not going to feel our best, when we're going to need something to just somewhere to just have an open, healthy conversation. And you spoke about like masculinity, different types of masculinity, you know, as well. I think it's the people who are in isolation, the men who are in isolation, who are going through the ways of life, who don't have a place to speak about it, to get other people's opinions about it. That's when it starts to turn toxic, because they're holding that all in, and that gets in your head. You start to go crazy, and then you start to take it out in the negative ways that intentionally you don't want to. You just don't have really many resources or options. Yeah, right. So this is beautiful. This is amazing. Community is important. One thing that I have with some guys, like there's about 30 of us. We have a group where we just check in with each other every week. We just call each other, and twice a week actually. We call each other and we meet up once a month, either to go for some food together, to pray together, just to share life. With each other, speak about what we're grateful for this week and what we're praying for the week ahead. And even that itself, just 1 hour a week, and is powerful. You know, it shares perspectives. You have a voice, I have a voice, other guys have a voice, and we have similarities, and it's important to share those voices together, and just to see, I can learn something from you and you can learn something from me, and as like that we grow, you know. That's what life's about.
That's beautiful. That is brilliant. And yeah, it's brilliant that you're showing the both sides of the community, that, you know, this pillar that we have, which is that the community shapes you,
Yeah.
and then you are to give back and shape it. And so like that group that you've got, obviously I'm sure you're drawing lots from it, but at the same time you're giving to it, and then you're giving to your wider community that you engage with and engages with you on social media and through church and through the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. And you asked why do I do it? I guess because it helps people, man. There were people who are going to be in the same situation that I was in, and I've had the messages, I've had the people say like, I really needed to hear that in that time when you shared it. Like, thank you so much, and that's all that matters, you know. Even if it's not about the following, nothing. Even if just one person says, I needed to hear that in that moment, and that helps me out. That's what it's about.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you on that point. You know, I was in a school recently, and you know, I won't mention the school or the young man, but there was a young man that I was speaking to for 30 minutes. Met him for the very first time, and this particular young man told me that he really loved to do work in the community. He had an uncle that has got like a community centre, and he's done work experience with him. This young man's 14, by the way, 13 going 14. He's telling me about, but he might not be able to get a job in there because he needs to make money. And I was like, why do you have to make money? And he's like, yeah, I'm looking at being an accountant. I've got an uncle that works at KPMG. He might get me an internship. I was like, that's amazing, but why do you need to work as an accountant? He was like, you know, I see my mum, she's stressing, trying to look after us and pay for us, and I've got a 5-year-old brother who's got autism, and he's got really challenging learning difficulties, and I've decided that I want him to be able to stay with me forever, and so I'm going to pay for I'm getting emotional myself. I'm going to pay for a sensory room, and obviously cost thousands, and he's calculated this, and he's like, I can't get it on a community salary, I need to be an accountant. He started asking me, you know, how can I do this? And I was just like, I just told him, stop, right? Stop stressing. You see that motivation you've got there? Whatever you put your mind to, you're going to reach it. That motivation's like no other motivation. Yeah? There's going to be 20 other people, 20,000 other people going for being an accountant. Your motivation is 20 times 1,000 more than theirs. And I just told him, you will do it. Don't even stress. Don't even worry about it. He walked out. It was lunchtime just after. He walked out. I'm getting up to how to get ready for lunch. And I've like seen like 8 boys in a row. And he just comes back in, pops his head in. He just says, sir, I know I just met you, but you just made me feel so confident, sir. Thanks.
Wow.
And he just left, you know.
That warms you up. Like that. You're never going to forget that moment ever in your life.
Never forget it, man. I work with so many young people, but that, like you said, that little bit, and he meant it. Do you know what? You know, you could tell.
Yeah.
He's meant it, and it's like, oh, I've been that young person.
Yeah.
I've been 14 and had a teacher that's gone that extra for me, or they said something and they've not realised how powerful it is. So, you know, there is something that if I want from people watching to take from you, it's like there's like a huge part of your journey where you must go out and, you know, spread your journey, support others, and that I think it's okay in life that you get something out of it. That it's not just this altruistic thing that you're doing that takes from you, that actually gives to you as well. And you know, that therefore it's a huge blessing to do, and to look forward to. Vlad, I want to ask you a little bit, just one more question really about legacy. It's something that I think is, in my life, has always played a massive part to my journey of manhood. This idea of looking forward and planning and being intentional about what comes next. I feel like I've got a fair idea what you might say, but I want you to be able to share to the audience and those watching, you know, what is the legacy that you seek? What does success look like for you? If Vlad was to be looking down when you know your days are done, what would you want to have happen? What would you want to see?
Such a great question. Such a great question, and I think this can come in a variety of different answers. And one of the models that you mentioned really well was like having pillars, right, in life. And I think I have it in my room, a whiteboard on my wall. So when I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing that I see, and it's just different pillars in my life of goals that I have for this year or for my life. And so faith is obviously number one, right? That's my biggest success is just to continue to grow in relationship with God, continue to also inspire others to do the same, right? And to allow others to find that faith. I really do think that that is a superpower. And so my plans for that is to do something with ministry, particularly something with men in ministry. I'm not sure quite what it is yet, but I know God has put that on my heart, to create some kind of similar things to what I'm doing already, I guess, but just make it more widespread, more accessible for more guys to find that, because there is power to that. Other things are also growth in health. Health is important. I want to be at the end of my life and looking back and be like, I was healthy. I was able to run marathons. That's my sport. You know, I know different people have different sports. My thing is I run, and I'm a great runner. I found that after I was drinking and smoking a lot, and then I switched those out. It wasn't like going cold turkey. I found this new habit that I was able to get rid of those by introducing this new one. So I started running, and now suddenly I'm running marathons and I'm winning races. So that's my thing now. So I want to continue and maintain my health. I don't want to lose that. Community is also important as well. I want to be able to look back and say, like, I've had a community of people that I've shared life with, loved with, laughed with, and broken bread with, and really just enjoyed and made the most out of life with. And also my success in business, right? I think there's a lot of power to stewarding well the resources that you have around you. I'm currently in the phase of launching my investment company, and it's something I've been building for a few years. I've been working in finance for the last few years, and just kind of learning from that and taking from that, and now I'm ready to put that into my own thing. And so I'm really expectant of that as well. And I know that that's going to do great things, and I know that's going to open up also platforms for others. You know, I can use the resources and the monies are in there to invest into things that are going to help people as well. You know, to invest into people in need and things like that, and partnership as well, with a spouse. I think that's important. Same as what you were saying earlier. Even if you don't have it now, creating that space, that environment now. You know, being able to be that provider, to create a home and a space, and allow that to be, so that someone can enter that space, someone that you can fall in love with, and just really build a strong connection and love with, and hopefully grow a family with, and grow children with, and things like that. So yeah, there's a couple. So
Here, here.
business, partner, community, faith, and health. I think those are my 5 pillars
Yeah,
for right now.
those are some strong pillars, and I'm sure there's some people taking some notes out there. And I'm mentally taking notes too, so I know I'm not alone. Like, it's so powerful, and you know, if there's any energy that I can pass to add to that, the motivation, add to the engine that's already getting you there, I'll pass that energy to you.